Hello, 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 and welcome back to another YouTube and Facebook Live with Prandhara Prem. And I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about polyamory. And I am just loving this topic. I'm loving polyamory. And today we have Phil in Brazil. Hey! We got Cinzia Bella.
Ciao.
And we have Joy.
Hi.
So, and we're going to be talking about polyamory. So we got one more person who's joining us, but Percy, I think, is just trying to get his video to work. Okay, so as soon as that works, I will add him on. There he is. And we got Percy in the house. Hello, but we can't see you now. Can you hear us? Oh, there he goes. He's in a car driving. So I want to thank Percy for coming on, because this was all last minute. I'm like, hey, I know you're driving. Do you want to join us in this talk on polyamory? And he was a trooper. He's like, yes. Can you hear us? Looks like he's on mute. He's on mute. Okay. So while that's while he's taking care of that and he's getting ready, let's go ahead and get in. Let's get into this conversation. I know we got people on. Those of you who are coming on and already on, just say hello. Let us know you're here. Say hi. Anything you want to share. There he goes. Hello, Percy. So I wanted special guests, Joy and Percy, because they're both in polyamory relationships. And so, Cinzia, have you ever been, or Phil, or no?
No, ma'am, but I have lots of questions.
I know, and I got lots of questions too. Phil, have you been?
I haven't, but I'm very open to it. And because of our talks on it, I've learned how to be very upfront about it at the start of when I meet somebody, which is really good.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've talked about this a couple other times in some other lives. I have been in polyamorous relationships, open relationships. They hadn't really been because I chose to, but my partner, when I was interested, and he was like, "Oh, this is my lifestyle, I'm polyamorous," and because I liked him and I am open, I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'll give it a try." And for me particularly, I learned a lot about jealousy, about possessiveness. And so that was a great thing for me. But before we kind of go really into it, I just want to ask you guys, let's start with Joy first. How did you first enter into a polyamorous relationship? Like, how did that happen?
So each time I'm asked that question, I always say that I was born poly. I just didn't know what a name for it. So probably about 17 or 18 years old, I had a girlfriend and I had boyfriend. But I just kind of didn't know. I just was this very free-spirited person who there weren't any labels that I knew of. I'm 45. Right. So it was just natural to me. My mom tells a story that I told her when I was in junior high school that I was going to marry my best friend, and that was a girl. So I don't know. I was just always, I guess, inclined, if that's a thing. So I married my college sweetheart, and we were together since we were about 18 or 19, and he knew full well about my female relationship, and he was okay with it. Like, he didn't have any problems with it. So my journey was a natural infusion into our relationship. And so we just talked about it. He's from a very religious background and very traditional, and I'm not. So there were a lot of things that we had to talk about to open his mind up. And I just took it slow for him, because a lot of people tend to think that poly comes from the male, and it totally came from me. Totally.
I really like that. I really like that.
Yeah,
because,
it did.
Yeah, because that's an interesting point. Like, a lot of people, I don't know, did you guys think that? I mean, I thought that, and that's just because I think the way I grew up, and I know a lot of times I grew up with this whole thing about men loving to cheat and loving women and women, not really. So that's just been in my mind.
Yeah, I think as I've learned about it, that's one of the myths or myth buster is that, you tend to think it's that. And in many of relationships, it's actually the female.
True.
And
Very
so,
true.
Percy, let me ask you, was it you when so you're in polyamory? Is it something that you kind of initiated, or was it the woman in your case?
Our relationship is still very
Oh,
and
your internet is kind of going
Uh-oh.
out.
You got the robot voice going on. So, Joy, while we're waiting on him to come back in, so you said his family was very religious. How long did it take before does his family know now, or how long did it take for you all to bring that forward?
So we never did because we don't think that it's not necessary for us. Like who cares what we do with our genitals? Like I don't care. So not that we hide it because our people come around, but we don't make a huge announcement. And so yeah, that's just how we do it. So like our kids, we have all adult kids. Our kids kind of make the jokes and they kind of know because they are also in polyamorous relationships. So
Cool.
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's just not a. And for me, like each time I get a new lover, they're like, "Oh, do you tell everyone?" And I'm always like, "Sweetheart, this is where I've been for like forever, so I don't feel the need to announce it every day because this is just who I am."
Oh, that's awesome. So now I have a question. So because you've been so open. Oh, hey, Alex. Yes, live it. Don't advertise it. That's how we do. So
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. I feel
Um,
you. I like that. Whoever said that.
yes, Alex. Thank you,
Alex, thanks,
Alex.
Alex.
Now, how did I not guess that Alex would be watching this live? Alex, you haven't been on quite a few of my lives, and you come in for this one. All right. So, so that's interesting, and I like that. So you've been very open. I mean, you don't openly talk about it to members, but your kids know, right? And so I guess that may help them to feel comfortable to have that lifestyle. Do you think because you've had this?
I don't know if we were an influence to that at all, but we have always influenced them to be themselves
Mm-hmm.
and to be confident in whatever their decisions are. So I'm not sure because, for instance, we never drink in front of our kids, but we drink.
Right.
And now that they're older, they drink and we all drink. So there are certain things that we did, but we were just always an open household. Like, my oldest daughter came out at 15 that she was gay. And we're like, great. Okay, now what's next? So, okay,
Right. Right.
great. I'm glad you discovered that. And so she's happily married to has a beautiful wife and kids. So like it's just not been again, I just say it's not been a huge thing of what we do with our genitals. If we're having family strategy meetings, it's not about our genitals. It's
Right.
about buying homes and getting your credit together. So I think that's just it. We love and they love who they want to love. We love who we want to love, and we just carry on.
I got you. Now, let me ask you, Joy, because you kind of opened up a different thought for me, different avenue of thought, because you said you've always been polyamorous. So, much like with gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, however you identify, that people believe, and I believe, that you're
Mhm.
born that way. Do you think polyamory or this desire to be in these sort of relationships is something that you're born as, that is just kind of intrinsic, or is it something that you can get into as a lifestyle choice later? Because you can't just choose to be gay. You either are, you're
Correct.
not. But do you
Correct.
think it works the same with polyamory, or do you think it's something intrinsic?
That's a very good question. It's something that I've pondered for many years. And I think that's not intrinsic. I think what is intrinsic is who you are attracted to. And so I think in our culture, if you are attracted to a male, then that's all you're allowed to be attracted to. And that's the only relationship you're allowed to have that is deemed acceptable. If you're attracted to a lady and you're a lady, okay, then that's the only, you can be gay. But to say that I want both is kind of frowned upon. So I don't know. I'm still trying to work through that. But what I can say is for a very long time, I've been attracted to both, and I didn't want to just have one relationship with only a man. Now, let me say this. My husband and I have been married for a very long time. And though I've always felt that I was poly, I learned the term many years later, I didn't act on it, right? So I had a relationship early on, and then for years I didn't, but it still didn't take my desire away. It still didn't take my attraction away. I just wasn't acting on it. So good question. I'm still working through that. But what I can say is I really appreciate not having to choose.
That's beautiful.
That is. So we have a comment, and what's up, Xenia? That's my girl. So she says she's been in a relationship for 9 years, and he has never been enough for me, but I stayed, and now I left the relationship. I've been thinking about it because I do not want to get married ever.
So let me ask Xenia, did you ever think about having a polyamorous type relationship? Or for you, because like when you say he wasn't enough for you, did you ever talk with him about opening up the relationship and having him and another partner, you know? And so I know for me, I've never really been one who was like, oh, I want to get married and have kids. You know, I don't know. I just kind of felt like, okay, this is what society wants, this is what I should do. But I always knew that just wasn't me. And I always had this free soul, this free spirit. But I know it's hard because people frown upon that. And it's like, you know, society says you have to have this traditional relationship, get married and have kids. And anything outside of that, everybody's looking at you like, you know,
like something's wrong with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it looks like she answered, and she said she just never felt like one man was enough. And I think that's a lot of the things, like you said, Renee, that society has told us this is what we have to do. And, you know, I'm coming out of a 26-year relationship, and, you know, I had my own thoughts, but even more recently, I'm just like, you know, I get one person cannot be your all. And when you put everything into that one person to be your everything, and Phil, you said this before, the clip from the movie, Jerry Maguire, the one line you said where,
oh yes,
you complete me. And it's like, no, when you said that has resonated with me, and I was like, I never want, because I'm separated now, and I was like, I don't want to go back into a relationship and that be what the person tell me. I don't want to complete them. I want to enhance them. I don't want to complete them.
That is a huge responsibility. Yeah, definitely not want to complete anyone. Right.
You know, Phil, I was trying to get you another guy on here, but, you know, Percy said the internet is just not cooperating.
No, it's fine.
So, Phil, you're going to have a menage a cuatro with 3 women, 3 beautiful.
I'm down for it.
Menage a quatre. This Percy, he's in the audience listening. So he's God's rest, God body. So, yeah. So Xenia responded again saying, of course, but he's old school and he felt like it was cheating, but he was not enough and I could not understand. So,
you know, part of my relationship during the separation, it got to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm in an open relationship. And so let's just make it one and try that avenue and see if that works. And if it doesn't, then we know. But he, even when I got to a comfortable point to say, okay, I can try this now, he was still like, no. And I'm like, but I felt all these years like I was in one anyways. It was just one-sided. So, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that takes a certain maturity, right? Especially for the man, because, so Phil, you're a man. So especially for the man, because men tend to be more possessive in their relationships in the sense of, I own that woman. Now, women can be jealous, right? And I don't like to generalize, but in general, I don't like to generalize, but in general, men tend to be more possessive. right? And so when you look at over time, no, because I was gonna say, when you look at over time, if a man cheats on a woman, the woman will more than likely take him back. But if a
That's
woman
true.
cheats on a man, he won't take her back. He's like, oh no,
Mm-hmm.
that was mine. How dare she go out with somebody else? And so that's what I mean when I'm saying that in the terms of being possessive. Women are possessive in a different way, right? And so when you look into the
Until you're
relationship,
poly, and then you have possessive
and then you have
women.
poly, and you have progressive women.
Oh
And
my
this
God.
is why I want to have this, right? Because I'm still expanding on this. I'm still learning about this, you know, and I definitely believe relationships, it's along a continuum. There's so many types of relationships. There's so many different types of sexuality. So we can't really box anything in. It's hard, you know. But with that said, go just real quick. I know, Phil, I'm gonna let you jump in. But that's what I was saying. And, you know, my point to that is that that's why the traditional men, they can go out and cheat because that's traditional. That's been okay. But the woman can't cheat. That's my woman. That's like my property. How you can't go out and be with somebody else, even though I am.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that brings up the
one of
topic
the
of
many
toxic.
issues.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just
I
saying
was
one
going
of
to
the
say,
many issues with men.
yeah, right. And I was going to say it brings up the topic of toxic masculinity that that men have to face. And it's true because, I mean, in our culture, we have been taught that number one, when you say I do, then you belong to someone else. And so my husband and I have this thing, is like, I don't belong to him. And I always say, when people talk to me, I was like, his dick belongs to him. His dick belongs to him. That's his dick. I'm not going to speak for his dick. And neither is he going to speak for my body. Now, we've been together 27 years, but that is something that I don't own him. Neither does he own me.
Beautiful.
And so that is something that when, you know, we're having these relationships, and I always think that when we're opening up relationships, whether you're opening up any type of ethical non-monogamy, it has to start from the foundation of trust, because ethical non-monogamy can't fix what's already broken. Number one, it can't fix anything. It's not a fixer. And so many people get into these types of relationships to try to fix or complete or all of these other words, the exhaustive words that I look at and I cringe, because I'm like, you know, that's unfair to put on any one person that responsibility. So to add to, yes, that's perfectly fine, I guess. Or it just to be another relationship, you know, but this whole idea of it taking the place of what you're missing, it's kind of tricky, muddy waters to get into, especially because as your partner, that takes a very mature partner to say, oh, I know I'm not giving it to you, but I'm okay with someone else doing it for you. And this is going to be a healthy relationship. You know, we just have to really challenge those things and really come to an agreement that's not based on lack or voids.
Right.
That's a great point. I was just gonna say one thing with Xenia's comment, but Joy, you just hit something that adds to what I was gonna say, because I was a little set off, or put off, I meant to say, with her first comment about like my husband is not enough. I think has never been enough. So I don't know if that's a good place to come from to try to reach out for these open relationships. One, what isn't that enough that he isn't? So you really need to identify what is the not enough that he's not giving you. But two, I don't know if that's a healthy place to try to reach these new paradigms of relationships, because you might get more of what you already have. That's the negative side, you know? It's like, even taking it out of the polyamorous aspect, how many people do we know that are serial relationshipers, you know, who are just trying to find that right person to finally fulfill that need, and they never find it? It's almost also in your personal life. How many people move from one city to another city to a different job to a different, and they're still not happy because they didn't spend enough time to work on themselves and get themselves right? Because if you're right, you can be almost anywhere in the world and you'll be all right. You can be with almost anybody in the world and you'll be okay. So that would be scary, to have the problems that you have on a one-on-one relationship with 4 more people. I would be really scared of that. Exactly. But I wanted to ask you a question, Joy. I'm sorry. For us little virgins here, us polyamorous virgins, because you've been in the game for a while, what would be your advice for those people that do want to try to get into this and maybe take that first step? What would you say to somebody like that who's having that nagging feeling?
I would say first, step slowly. And it's not a rush. And take your time. And if you have a nesting partner, I mean, because if you have a nesting partner, the process would be
define nesting partner. I think I know what it means, but define it for the.
So if you live with someone, and you have a primary relationship, or you live with someone, the steps that you would take would be different if you're a solo poly person, if you don't live with anyone and you don't have a primary relationship. So I will come from my perspective because I do have a nesting partner, and I still would say take it slowly and understand why you're doing it. Because I'm going to repeat, if you're doing it from a place of lack or need or revenge or any foundation of negativity, you're going to visit that again over and over and over in the relationship. Much like you just said, Phil, you're going to carry that in 4 or 5 relationships, so it doesn't make sense. So you have to really, what I think polyamory is a lot of self-work, period. And in these relationships, it still will bring to the surface things that you think you've dealt with already. So first step is take it slow. Next step is understand what you're doing. Like, what is it that you want? What will this relationship do for you? What's the purpose of it? Then I would say, make sure that you and your partners understand their roles in your life. How much time you have to put into these relationships, what their expectations are and what your expectations are. And those would be
a lot. Sometimes there's a lot just to deal with one person, let alone 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And when you start mixing, if you take out intimacy and sex, right? And if you've ever had a girls' trip or a boys' trip of 2 or 3 or 4 different people who kind of don't know each other and getting to know you, put them together, those trips can either go wonderful or they can go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You
Yes.
sprinkle in sex and intimacy. And here you go. So it's really important to have, I always say to people, like, the foundation of a relationship, friendship, just a platonic friendship, the foundation of that friendship, the tenets of that friend, those kinds of relationships is what helps you grow in a polyamorous relationship. So if you're void of those skills of just flat out relationships, oh my gosh, you're going to have a difficult time when you're adding 2 and 3 and 4.
You used a term a little while ago that I just recently heard. You said ethical non-monogamy, and I thought that was such a wonderful way to describe it, because that is what it is. You're ethical, meaning that it's full disclosure. All parties know what's going on. Everyone is on the same page. And I also listened to something where someone said, if you're in a poly relationship and you're still keeping secrets, then something's wrong with you. Because the whole point of poly is you're open. Everything is out there. So
correct. And listen, poly doesn't fix cheaters. I just need to say that poly does not, or an ethical non-monogamy, the key term is ethical. It does not fix a cheating heart. So let's just understand that.
So that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because one of the things that made it easy for me to go into these polyamorous relationships, the 2 that I was in, is because I really had a lot of trust issues, right? And and I just finished listening to you. Don't go in with with these issues, because they're going to come up over and over. But it's interesting because I went in because I had trust issues. Like, I grew up not really believing in relationships, and all of the men that I knew cheated on the women, right? And so for me, it was like there's no such thing as a monogamous relationship, like or a trusting relationship without the man being honest and truthful. Now, I don't think that same way anymore, but that's how I used to think, right? Just because of my upbringing. And so, when I encountered these two men who are both, poly at different times, right? These are two different relationships. I was like, okay, yeah, because at least I could trust them. At least I know that they're going to be honest. At least I know, they're not going to lie to me. And, we beforehand, we talked about everything, what we will accept, what we won't accept, how this polyamorous relationship would look. And that was good. And that was helpful, But it's interesting hearing you say that a person with a cheating heart is going to have a cheating heart, even if it's monogamous. So that just kind of messed me up. Now, I don't even know if I can be in a polyamorous relationship anymore because I might not even be able to trust them. But
it happens.
But
just saying, it's not a fix. It happens. I mean, the foundations of relationships is honesty, trust, and all of those things. And if you don't have those foundational pieces, it's going to repeat. It's going to come up.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah. And I think in a polyamorous relationship, it has to be that, and I think that's the thing for me, because I've had those, in the past, I've had those issues. I would always say, okay, I could be in a poly, but I have to be the primary. Like I have to be the primary. Like I'm not going to be a secondary or third or whatever.
So you're the nesting partner.
I'm the nesting partner. And we live together. My ex, we live together.
Renee is a dom.
I am a dom. And if he doesn't listen, I will spank that ass. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Go ahead, Phil.
No, I was just going to say I love what Joyce said, because, again, she's bringing up so many new perspectives for me, like new avenues to go down of thought with the whole polyamory. And that is so important, to look at this polyamorous or open relationship like a regular relationship. It's just you're a regular, quote unquote regular, in terms of all the stuff that you would try to do in a one-on-one monogamous relationship, as far as conversation, trust, working on it. You're going to do the same in a polyamorous, it's just with more people. So I love that perspective she's bringing, because a lot of people that have never been in one and maybe don't know about it do have this fantasy of, oh, this is that relationship that's just easier because we're all free to do what we want. And it's like, no, I love that she's breaking it down. Like, no, it may be even harder, because all the stuff that you do with one-on-one, you're doing it 3, 4, 5 times over. So I love it.
Yeah.
So what helps you? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, much to your point. And you also have to understand, I always have this thing, just because I can does not mean I will. Just because I can does not mean I will. So meaning, can I have 5 people? Yes. But will I have 5 people? No. Because I still have an emotional limit of what I can give out. And so if I expect reciprocation in my relationships, which I do, I know that I'm a one human, that I know that I can't give out emotionally 7 times over and it still be successful. So can I? We don't have a limit, but will I? No, we won't. If you listen to my husband, he's like, yeah, 1 more is enough for me. That's my poly. Like some people say 30 more. He's like, no, 1 more for me and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So we all have to understand that, you have to realize your own personal limits. Just because I can don't mean I will.
Cool.
Yeah. So now the Wendy Williams part of me wants to know. So have you all ever encountered someone that violated whatever the rules were, or crossed the lines, with however the relationship was supposed to be set up? Meaning that, okay, you all have established the ground rules of what this is going to be, but they wanted to become the nesting partner. They wanted to have that takeover.
Listen, so I'm into kink, okay? So this relationship, this is many dynamics.
That's gonna be our next. We're gonna have to do one on that too, because I want to get in with you on kink. That's gonna be our next one. That's gonna be fun. All right.
Right. So there is only so much takeover that's just not going to happen because of just who we are. Okay. But I can say no one has ever crossed the boundaries of wanting to be a nesting partner. However, have boundaries been crossed in terms of, because that I was laughing at Renee when she said men are possessive. I have found in polyamory, in these circles, women have been way more possessive than men.
Really?
Way more possessive than men. So that's the boundaries that I've had attempted. I mean, they didn't cross them because it just didn't happen, but the attempt was absolutely there. For an example, I don't ever give people in this lifestyle, like, I'm not the person like, oh, it has to be a clothes, this or that. I'm like, live your best life, boo, because I'm gonna live mine. And I've had people like, okay, I don't want you to have anyone else. Like, I don't even understand what you're saying.
Right.
They're like, no, but I think that's it. You have me, and that's all you need. I know that you have your husband, but you're good. You don't need anyone else. So more in terms of those kinds of boundaries, I'm like, yeah, no, we're not going to be able to do that.
Right. That's interesting. Let's see, a couple of comments here. God's wrist was, I think, was responding to Xenia and said, is he not enough on an intimate level? And then Xenia said, I think she was kind of probably writing at the same time. All I can say is that I feel like Cecilia from The Color Purple. And then, yes, a great understanding. And so, yes, to God's wrist. She said, I guess, yes, he's not enough on an intimate level. And Xenia can't wait for the kink as well.
It's not the husband. I apologize. I said it was the husband. She said it's not the husband. It's just somebody she's with. So go explore.
Yeah, I think she's tapping that now and exploring.
Nothing holding you down.
Exactly. You don't know until you try. And if you've been honest with them, you don't need permission. Your body belongs to you.
So what are some tips that you can give for people? Because so it's interesting that you say women tend to be more possessive in this, and I guess it kind of makes sense, right, in the polyamory world. But what are some tips that you can give to help with that, with jealousy, with possessiveness?
Whew. Okay, that's a good question. Possessiveness. I'll start there. I try to trace the root with them and just really try to talk through, like, okay, where's this coming from? You understand that I can't pay for the bills that I didn't create. But we can talk about it. Like, I just need you to understand that. So we talk about it. Now, if it becomes a little too much, and it usually is, because I don't do possessiveness well. I don't do possessiveness at all. Let me just say, like, if you're possessive, this relationship is not going to work. And so the relationships didn't work. And I was very open and I was very honest. And I said, this is not going to work. You're controlling, you're possessive. And I can't be my best self in this situation. And so you have to be honest. You have to know what your boundaries and what your limits are. And I would say stand on those. Like, if it makes you uncomfortable, do not make yourself uncomfortable to the comfort for someone else. Yes. Like, don't do it. Like, if it's uncomfortable, just don't go along with it. Just be kind and say, okay, you're a great person, but you're not a great person for me. And it's okay. Right. And faithfully bow out. And so that's what I've done many times. I faithfully bowed out. However, much to Phil's point, I really start relationships from the friendship basis. And I say to people, listen, I'm going to start this. And even if we become intimate and we decide that this is not going to go forth in a romantic relationship, I can still be your friend, but I will not be intimate with you again. I say that. So I'm very upfront, and we talk a lot from the beginning, a lot. So when these things happen, I'm like, remember when we talked about the fact that I don't like controlling and being possessive? This is what you're doing to me right now. So my tip is know yourself, know your boundaries, know what makes you uncomfortable. And know that it's okay when someone does not make you uncomfortable, that you don't have to remain in those relationships.
Right. And I think the biggest thing too is being able to have communication. because whether you're in a poly or a monogamous relationship, these things are going to come up. And so how do you deal with it, right? So do you, like you said, and you made some really good points, what is the root of that? And so really trying to think and figure out, okay, what's the root? And then open and honestly talking to your partner about it, right? And working through it together.
Exactly.
So
Phil,
I think one of the key
I love
things.
how Phil, you went into YouTube to write your comments.
I love when you discuss boundaries, and so even for me, this is our second separation, and I feel this was more permanent because I have set those boundaries for myself, and so I know now a better idea of what I did to work on myself. The other person's not at the level where I want, but that's not my problem anymore. So now I've set my boundaries on what I will allow back in or not, and I'm sticking to that. And I think boundaries, I wish I would have learned boundaries a long time ago. And then, Phil, you said it, and I think one of the common things we picked up in these conversations is that conversation up front when you meet someone and setting the expectations and really, really not just hopping in the sack, but laying it out and saying, again, everything you said, Joy, this is how it is. And if we are intimate and it doesn't work, well, then this is how it'll play out. I think that's so important. I'm taking notes. When COVID is over, I'm back out. I'm taking notes.
Good. Learn from my mistakes.
And it gets easier. I know Renee and I have been, how long have we known each other, Renee? Seems like a lifetime, but it's probably only been a year and some change.
Oh, it's been more than a year. It's been more than a year, Phil.
More than a year?
Yeah, it's definitely.
Oh, wow.
We've been in quarantine and COVID for a year. I met you. I knew you way before COVID.
We've been courting. We haven't consummated yet. We need to consummate our marriage. But in this year that I've met Renee, so much has grown in me. Some of it just from personal.
3 years, Phil. In these 3 years.
3 years. Oh my goodness. Personal, self-development. Some of it from just talking with Renee. But that one thing that Joy is talking about, this communication, this openness, it's so vital. And it's something that I wasn't always able to do in a relationship, and that I've been getting so much better at in the last 5 years of just being upfront. So although I'm not in a polyamorous relationship right now, I'll give like a little bit of what I think is some good advice. And Joy, of course, jump in and tell me if you think I'm not giving them good advice. But start in your one-on-one relationships, even in the bed, even in just telling your partner, starting to be open and saying, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I want to do, this is what I wish you would do more. Like, that's how I started. I started in my monogamous relationships, being open sexually, being able to tell my partner, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. In the relationship, this is what I expect, what I don't expect. And it's almost like when you remember all of us when we were little kids and we had to learn how to do job interviews, and those first ones were like, we're sweating, profusely and sucked completely. And then guess what? The second one's a little better. The third one's a little better. And then before you know it, you can just go into a job interview like, I know I'm the shit. I can, whether. So it's the same thing happens as you practice this with your partners, people that you meet. It rolls off the tongue. I met a boy at the beginning of the year that I really liked, and I think he really liked me. And man, the conversation was so easy. I just let him know. I was like, look, I'm into polyamorous relationships. That's kind of like where I want to go right now. I'm very open sexually. I'm not into having just one sexual partner. I'm a very sexual partner. I have a feeling that you're really digging me, and I just really need you to know that this is where I am right now. And whether you want to follow with me on that path or not is up to you. And I left it in his hands, and he appreciated it. And it was so easy. I thought it was going to be a difficult conversation, but it really wasn't. Because I gave him the choice. And that's the best part about it. You're respecting that other person so much by letting them know, I'm not sure if I can be with just you. And I'm giving you the choice to understand that, compute it in your mind, and go on your own path or stick by my side. And it gets easier, so just try it. Start in the bed with your partner. Start saying, can you like lean a little to the left, lean a little to the right, and then from there build, and you'll see that you can do it. You can really do it, and you'll get to that point where you can be open at the start. That's so important. Be open at the start. This is what I'm into right now.
Sure.
Phil, I want to say, like you, the last year, I think that's why I was able to come to the point to end my relationship. And Joy, you said 27 years. Mine's 26 years. And it's like, wow, I think we've had like night and day. And I'm not going to say my marriage was totally terrible, but I think in the last year, again, I really finally just went into myself and realized, because again, we separated 2 years ago and there was a 6-month break. And in that time, I really got to know, I would meet someone and they're like, what do you like? And I always had the we answer. I didn't have a me answer. And that really caused me to look at myself. And then going back into the relationship, I'm like, what do I want from this? What is going to make me happy? And then how do I make myself happy? And, I think that's when I jumped into adult conversations and then just listening to different perspectives and listening to other people, listening more about poly and, just realizing that we're not really designed to be monogamous. Like, I mean, when you think back primitively, we're not monogamous. That was built into us. And so recognizing one person is not your all. Like, I feel like I have grown so much, like you said, Phil, over the last year, that even now, if I go into another relationship again, if I meet a guy, it's going to be upfront. Like, here are my expectations. One, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm coming out of a 26-year marriage, so I'm not even there yet. I'm working my 5-year plan, but I do want some booty on the side.
Is it Breezy?
That's Breezy, yes.
Breezy's 5 years. She sold us in that 5 year. At first, we're like 5 years, but I think she sold us on 5 years.
Yes, and it's true. I mean, you really have to work on yourself, but I still have the needs. So I recognize that if I'm going to address those needs, that I need to be very upfront with my intentions and what I'm looking for, and stick with my boundaries and set those boundaries. So, Joy, thank you for sharing, because
you're welcome.
It's a lot of knowledge.
It is a lot. And you know what's cool, Joy, just real quick, what I think is so awesome about what you're saying is that even if somebody listening right now is not into getting into polyamorous, like what you're saying resonates. It can resonate even for those that are in monogamous relationships. That's why what you're saying is so powerful, and it's really resonating a lot.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Yes, of course. I don't mind sharing at all.
Let me just say, Montavian said, sorry, he's late. He's the one that I want to come on to. So Montavian, check your Instagram message. I sent you the link so you could join in. That's the guy from last week, Phil, that you said you liked.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
Yes. So hopefully he could join in, and we'd love to hear from him too. Because it's good to get, multiple takes. Alex says, have to run. Awesome conversation and great advice. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for listening. Yeah.
Karina said she just joined, but loves the topic. Hi, Karina.
And hello, Karina.
And I think, again, our society, I can remember hearing jokes about swingers and, they're swingers and, they're this. And I remember one time I lived somewhere and there was 4 couples. We all had kids and we were so tight that there was rumors that we were all, poly, we weren't. But I think just, again, the dialogue, having conversations like this and realizing, it's not freaky and kinky and this. There's really, really powerful relationships behind the poly relationships. So I think, again, the more you learn about the lifestyle, the more you become familiar with the transparency and what it takes to be in that type of relationship, you can really respect it.
Yeah. And I think that, so it's foolishness everywhere. Let's not say it's craziness everywhere, because again, you have to go to the foundational tenets of the person. But what I have found that throughout this journey, I've met some amazing people, and I've met amazing people that are poly that I will never be intimate with, but they're amazing people. And they're friends. So everyone that I meet, just like there's this expectation that just because you're poly, we're all going to enjoy each other and like each other. But like, no, because we still have to get to know and like the person. Like, this is not a magical pixie dust kind of thing. This is just our love style and our lifestyle. So, and I love what you said about just the boundaries and being open, and Phil, what you said about just saying these things up front. And who wouldn't want those things in any relationship? Like, whether it's a monogamous relationship, in any relationship, you would want to know what people expect from you and the boundaries. But what I found on this poly journey, or ethical non-monogamy, I like to call it, because honestly, sometimes for me, it's not about the loves, it's about other things, because I'm into other lifestyles. So I kind of use ethical non-monogamy, and then I am in a polyamorous relationship. But what I seem to find, like, there are so many, I personally prefer the friendship and then the growth into the romantic relationship, because I tend to want to have partners that I like as people, right? Because some people just only are looking for the intimate or the sex part of it. And for me, that's just not my deal. Not anymore. Nothing wrong with it, but not anymore, not at this point in my life. But just saying, so I've just learned to really appreciate the dynamics of the relationship. Like when Renee sent me the invite tonight, I say, this is perfect because my husband and my girlfriend are on a date together tonight. So I was like, oh, well, good. I didn't have anything to do. This is the perfect timing. So it just teaches you so much about yourself. It teaches you, it just allows you to see things from so many various perspectives. And to me, that's beautiful. So to me, it's worth it. But for someone who's listening, they may think, oh, she is nuts. Like some of my friends say to me, I don't even see how you do that. And I understand that, because their perspective and their love is a possessive love, a very traditional love. I get it, right? So nothing wrong with that. But for me, I'm like, this is beautiful. You guys go out and learn each other, because she and I are already in love. They're trying to work on it. But I'm like, oh, go and have fun, enjoy yourselves. Let me know how it's going.
Beautiful, beautiful. So welcome, Montavian. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I slid on in. I'm catching the last bit of it at least to get that last little bit.
Hey.
How you doing, lady?
I miss you in class. I missed our class.
I know. Sundays are not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
I know.
I miss y'all too. So Montavian and Joy are both from my Yoni massage course. They took that. It was such a great course, man. It was so great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Montavian, I watched the live you did with Renee, and your storytelling was amazing. And like, you had me like waiting, like, okay, so what happened next? What happened next? What happened next? I was like envisioning everything that was going on.
I second that, because I was telling Renee all week about you. I was in the shower actually listening to you guys. I put you on the boombox. So the whole neighborhood heard you guys. And I was like, I'm loving this. Like, this guy is just like, he's doing it.
That is awesome. I missed it.
Hey, I need to get both of y'all to do a commercial then for these Yoni classes and streams and everything.
Look, I'm gonna have to hire Montavian to come on.
Right. Okay.
That is hilarious.
Really good.
I'm currently taking the Lingam massage course, and last week, the week 3 was very interesting. So I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, so Chindra's taking the Lingam massage course.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
If the Lingam massage course is a quarter of as interesting as the Yoni's massage class was, I don't know if I can take it.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to deal with too much more of that.
So Montavian, we got to hear, from Joy a good amount. So we'd love to hear from you too. If you want to share just kind of at first, like how did you get into, how did you get into polyamory relationship? There's a mosquito that's tearing me up here.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no.
Oh man. Well, for me, I've probably always been poly and just didn't realize I didn't have a word to associate with the action.
That's my exact statement.
That sounds
Was
like
it so?
My
See,
exact statement.
you just kind of fall into it, and you're like, because I've never been one to. I would never cheat.
Right.
You know, I'm always been, well, listen, I'm going with, Susie this evening, and I'll see you, Amy, tomorrow. And I'm not committed to either of you, but I'm not going to hide that I'm going anywhere with anybody for any reason because I'm a grown ass man.
Right.
And that was at 15 years old. So,
wow.
Oh, wow.
And I've just never changed. I've always been just kind of upfront and I don't feel like I need to be ashamed of anything that I do. And that's with friends, with family, and that's just me as a person. So what ended up happening was I was seeing one young lady, and we had been strong for for some years, and because I didn't want a relationship, I'd gotten out of a marriage. I was married for 13 years. We divorced. I'm divorced with 4 children. I did my time. I'm done. They let me go. I'm off on good reprieve. I ain't going back. So, my concentration, was my children and my career, and that's it. So if I got to date, wonderful. If I didn't, I'm trying to make some money. But so everyone to me was a friend. And if I consider you a friend, then, a lot of things just go along with friendship, right? If you call me at 2 a.m. because you're stuck on the side of the road, you're my friend. I'm going to come get you, right? Mm-hmm. But even more so, if we bump uglies together and you call me at 2 a.m. and you're stuck on the side of the road, I have a bit of an obligation now to come and get you, right? So, but everyone is a friend, no matter, whether we've been intimate or not, you're a friend. So, I was seeing a young lady who is still to this day is a very close friend to me. And I met another young lady who became a close friend to me. And, again, we're talking in years, not days, weeks, months. We're talking years. And all of a sudden, I was now intimate with the second lady. Mm. So once I was intimate with the second lady, she's like, well, I know about the first lady, so what are we going to do? And I was like, well, she doesn't really care about, what you and I are doing, as long as it doesn't.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Just when the story was getting good.
Right?
I'm telling you, his storytelling is amazing.
Oh my gosh, it is. And
that wasn't nothing but the devil, because I didn't even touch anything.
No.
You're about to tell too much.
That's probably it. So, long story short, what ended up happening was I said, listen, we are all friends because we all hung out in the same circles. And I said, listen, we're all friends. I don't want any animosity. There is no competition. There's nothing but love here. We can all hang, instead of you trying to beat it, one trying to beat the other one to the punch. Where you going tonight? What you doing? Come on, let's go somewhere. And the other one calling right behind going, hey, what? Oh, you already going somewhere? All right, then, bye. Hey, let's all just go together. So after we started hanging out together, then the conflict became, well, when you go home, who are you going home with now? So I'm like, shit, I'm going to my house. Look, y'all not gonna get me in the middle of this. I'm going to my house.
Did you say both of y'all can come to my house if y'all want? If y'all
Right.
I mean, that's an option.
Right.
So they both ended up, we both ended up having a night together where we just say, well, hey, let's all get together. Let's go out. We went out. We had a great time. We ended up at one of their homes. And, one thing led to another and things jumped off, and we kind of started an unofficial, official relationship-ish situationship from there.
Shit.
But see, I don't know if I call that a situationship, because to me, situationship goes back to that complexity, lying, cheating. I would call that something different because all parties were in agreement.
It's called a throuple. A throuple.
Or menage a trois. I mean, what was
menage a trois.
A throuple?
But yeah,
it would be, but we weren't. Well, we weren't. No one claimed. It wasn't like I'm not her boyfriend or her boyfriend, or none of us are.
Okay.
Menage a trois.
But that went on for like a year and a half.
Okay.
But
y'all
no one's.
Y'all were
just in a thing.
Y'all
got in the thing.
And I was down for it.
An entanglement.
Yeah, it was an entanglement.
That's it.
That's that. There you go.
Right?
Entanglement. That's the word. That's the word for it. That lasted for about a year and a half. But because they, we got to hide when we want to go somewhere, we got to go across town, or we got to go out of town, or we got to be at somebody's house, or, our kid, I have my kids and they don't have theirs, or they have theirs and I don't have mine. And there are all of these small foxes, and eventually that kind of fell apart. But, that made me start kind of doing some research into, what this all was. Because it was more than just us being nasty and kinky and, trying to do things to one another, because during that time, we were actually there for each other. It wasn't just, all of this, how many different ways can I make you orgasm? No, it was, hey, you need me, how's your mom doing? You need me to pick up one of the kids, or, who's cooking tonight? Stuff like that. So, we were there for each other, and I enjoyed the fact that in the times when I'm not the most sensitive of individuals, and I'm not saying the right thing, and my testosterone level is on 3,000 when it needs to be on 4. There was someone with that female energy that was there to be like, babe, you go sit over there. I'll talk to her over here. You about to mess this up. So, I do what men do. I go sit in the corner until they got it straight.
Are you currently still in a poly relationship?
I'm looking for a poly relationship. I'm in a relationship with, at this point, I have a girlfriend who is just as out and crazy as I am. So,
now where do you live again, Montavian?
Plano.
Oh wow, I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas area. Yeah.
Oh, are you? We got to get together.
There you go.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Making things happen.
All right.
Right.
You my God.
See, yeah, I'm right here because everybody else is in like Brazil and Cancun and stuff. Y'all all over the world.
No,
we're stuck here in Texas trying to take the mask off.
No, I'm in North Carolina. I'm sorry. I'm not anywhere as exciting as Brazil. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm right here in Texas.
But this lady that
awesome.
you're with now, she's open to the whole polyamorous lifestyle.
Absolutely. You know, she is and that was the thing with my past entanglement. They were not really open to that relationship in outside of the evidence of that we were in it. They weren't really open to it.
Wait a minute. Explain that. They were not. Okay, say it again.
So for me, you know, if I'm in a relationship with you, you know, we going home. I'm introducing you to my mama. These are my cousins.
Okay.
You know, we going down to the Applebee's. You know, it's, you know, if you're sitting in my lap and she come and get on my other arm, you know, no one in my family is even gonna blink an eye.
Right.
But for them, you know, their families would have been like, wait a minute, hold up. What kind of bullshit is this? You know, what's going on here?
I got you. Okay, I got you.
You know,
okay.
And so I had to respect a certain level of boundary with them. And that's not how I live. And it's really unfair to them because that means that they can't show that affection or be outward with their lives like they want to be.
Okay, I understand.
But with my current, she don't have them batteries.
Oh, that's awesome.
A question for you, Montavian, like with Joy. So how did you all have that? Did you all have that conversation like when you initially met and you told her, you know, how you were? How did you all get into that conversation to know that you're both on the same page?
For me, you know, when you first meet someone, you have that conversation. Well, what happened with your last relationship? You know, because you're trying to find out, you know, are you a crackhead or a woman beater, or, you know, did you mess up her credit, or you know what I mean? Is somebody outside in the bushes right now? Am I going to be sniped? You know, when I walk outside. You know, you got to know what you're getting into, right? So
yes, no, but I love it because we talk about that. Questions is so important up front. It's not like you're giving them an interrogation, but you have to learn.
You gotta. These are questions that need answers.
Yeah.
You know, was your last dude a fighter, or was he? You know, what am I getting into here? Because
and then you interject, are you open to poly?
And
was he a fighter? Are you open to poly?
Right. You know, I like girls that like girls. Are you one of them girls or no? You know.
I can't.
That's the question.
Oh my gosh, you are too much.
Y'all laughing, but if she were here, she'd tell you that was literally how I posed the question. Hey, so listen, I like girls that like girls. Do you like girls?
Oh, you're serious. You're saying you like girls who like girls. That's what. Okay, got it. Okay. It took me. You know, I have wine on board. It took me a minute. I got it. Okay.
No, ma'am. I for real said that, and she said, well, you know, it's funny that you should ask. I do.
Oh,
you
wow.
Know. And you know, on from there.
That is hilarious.
So Montavian, so your poly is female with female. Now, what if the female has another guy?
Great question.
So if what we're looking for, you know, a particular dynamic, you know, but during this search, you know, we've come to understand or come to realize that during the search, you got to date a little bit. So, and during that dating, you're going to date women that have, you know, that have partners that have formed other relationships. So eventually, of course, you know, we want to close off our little molecules so we can start blending finances and real estate and businesses and, you know, doing things, because I think I believe that is the whole basis or the best bang for the buck, so to speak, of being in this type of relationship. You know,
I keep
it's
everybody
known.
money separate. I don't want nobody. No, I don't want nobody living with me. I don't want. No, sir.
And that's the important part. That's why you got to ask them
I love that,
questions.
Poly. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah,
Keep everybody
ask them
separate.
questions.
Yeah.
No, but it's cool. It's nice what Montaigne was saying, because it's giving us two different perspectives, so that people that are listening that are not that don't know anything about poly, they may think it's just one way.
Exactly.
No, you kind of set up the relationship that you want, and however it feels best for you. Know your limitations, like we were talking about. Know what you want, and built that the way that you want it. So it's awesome that we got two different types of polys going on.
Right?
I love quad. I've been in a quad before, and I love that. Like, but listen, I'm still saying, Montavian, everybody had their own money, and we could combine nothing.
But see, even in that,
I love the quad situation. To me, let me not say that because my boo may hear and get up. I love a quad. I love my dynamic now. I mean, I love my girlfriend. She's amazing. So I'm just saying I love multiple kinds of poly. Let me just say that. And
yeah.
But
I love
everybody keep
multiple
their own
kinds of
money.
And see, if you, for me, if you do it right, and this is something that I learned that actually was successful in marriage. When we put everything into the gumbo pot and everybody gets a budgeted allowance, it's not if I get $100 a week and you get $20 a week, well, that's an issue, right? But if you get the same $100 a week that I get $100 a week, it doesn't matter who makes the most money, who brings in this, who does that. Everything goes into the gumbo pot for the community. And we budget so everyone can have money to themselves. Because you work hard for your money, right?
Yes, we do. Yes.
And then we planned as a group as to what we're going to invest that money in and how we're going to make that money grow and move and do all of these things.
Oh, I love that. We got to stay friends so I can see the progression of that. I love it. Like for my nesting partner, that is absolutely how we roll. And I've learned that in this poly journey, minus the quad that we were in, like a lot of people really just desire that type of dynamic where we're combining income. And as Phil just said, it's so important to know that however you do your poly is your poly journey. And it goes back to the expectations and really saying these things up front to see if people align with what you align with.
That's right, because there is no one way.
There's no one way. I've had tremendous amount of people who want to live with me. And I'm like, I don't want to live with you. I want you to have your own place.
Right.
I mean, one nesting partner is all I need. My kids are grown. I don't want no, and not that they're my kids. I'm good. You stay in your place. I stay in my place, and we just have a good time. But I feel you.
I feel you.
Yeah, but it's important to know that, and I have met people who that's their alignment. They want your kind of poly, and maybe I'll text you their information. I'll ask them because they want the poly.
See, and as long as, and I love that type of attitude, because as long as it's like me, I don't look down on everybody else's poly because they do things. You do what makes you happy.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's male, female, male.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. However, whatever dynamic of the sexes and whatever are in those sexes, however that works, nobody should be looking down on that if everybody in that dynamic is happy. Now, if y'all in there beating on each other and throwing hot drinks on each other. That's a different. That's different.
That's abusive in any relationship, right?
Right.
Exactly. But I think the take home message is the liberation to love and live freely how you need it to be, and to find those alignments that feel the same way you do, and not to side with society that says it has to look whatever way it has to look.
Right.
Nobody has
Exactly.
the right to say what you do with your genitals and whom you do it with and how that looks. And to me, that is the whole purpose of this journey. I don't want to be in a box. Neither am I going to box anyone in. Like, I don't care how uncomfortable it is. When I encounter things that makes me uncomfortable, instead of projecting that on my lovers, I sit with it myself and say, okay, lady, where does this come from? What is the root of this? Before you start projecting your jealousy and your insecurities on people, let's deal with you first. Now, it may actually be a situation that they're doing that I'm uncomfortable with, and then I will address that. But I will always filter it through what me first. But the lovely part of this is do it how you want to do it.
You preaching. You preaching.
Yes.
I love it. And I will not allow anyone, which is why I don't have to get approval from my family. It doesn't matter what they think about what I do with my genitals, my mouth, or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't have to go before a welcome committee and say, you know what, by the way, y'all, I like to tie people up and spank them. And then I like to present to them. What did you about that tonight? You know, like, really? No, I'm not having that conversation over dinner. Because I don't need to, because I know who I am.
But will you have that conversation on YouTube Live?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, some places you may want to
say. I have a rule that if you want to give me your opinion, you have to pay a bill first.
That's my mom. If they don't pay my bills, I don't give a shit what they think.
Right. Hey, you want to give me an opinion?
Yes.
I'll take
my salary.
But
I like it.
You got to
I
pay
like that a lot, Montavian. I like it. Taking it.
Yes, we're all going to be using that. Yes,
we will.
That's free game.
Let me give Renee her props. Okay, real quick. First off, do your thing. Do what you're gonna do. I can't tell you who to sock it to, right? Do your thing. So, how you gonna do? I can't tell you.
The theme song.
Right?
I love it.
But guys, what Joy just said is so powerful, and I'm gonna give Renee her props because that's what her channel is all about. So now, Renee, you're gonna get a commercial from me. I'm jealous, Montavian. You were doing all those commercials for Renee. I gotta
gas up, man. Gas up.
Because that's what Renee's dealing with, not just on the poly level, but on the mono level, on the I'm good by myself, and I just want to have fun level, is being just fulfilled in who you are, knowing what you want, knowing that your body is yours and not anybody else's. Enjoy your body, enjoy it with who you want to, enjoy your mind and spirit, and share it with who you want to. So everything that Joy is saying, even if there are those in the audience who are not interested in poly and maybe are never going to get into poly and are completely happy in their monogamous relationships, everything she said is still true, and it still works for everything. So in the channel really deals with that. Like everything Renee deals with, the energy she deals with is about that. So it's open for everybody. Don't judge anybody. We don't judge anybody. If you're in a monogamous relationship that makes you like the happiest person in the world, great. God bless you. If you happen to be in a poly, if you're single, whatever. If it's you and the cats and you're happy, do your thing.
Now, even if they're doing the cats,
no.
I don't know. Not that.
You know, there's people into bestiality, right?
They are being
You know what?
If
I've never seen a video with them doing a cat, though. You can find any other animal.
Yeah,
No.
but the problem
Or
is
goat.
consent. The cats don't give consent, so you can't really do the
No.
animals. Although
No.
trees is a different story, and maybe that's a story for another day.
Yeah, there are people who make love to trees,
Yes.
to nature.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there's all of that. It really exists.
Yeah.
There's a name for it. It's a dendrophiliac. And don't ask me why I know. I researched it for a friend.
You researched it for a friend.
A friend in Brazil.
These poor friends get blamed for everything. I love this. This is awesome. This is great.
Yes, but to echo what Bill said, I don't know that I would ever entertain a poly relationship, but having that understanding, and the bottom line is communication across the board. And if you're sitting in a relationship right now and you're hearing this and you're not happy, do the work and start with yourself. Stop forcing. And that's what I did for so many years. I tried to force somebody into my box. Joy, you said the box. I can't put anybody in the box, nor do I want to be in the box. So do the work on yourself. And like she said, Renee's channels, oh my goodness, her lives are channels. You find so much stuff.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. I don't know what to say now. I'm speechless. You guys will let me speechless. Beautiful.
This is awesome.
This was
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Renee, for the platform. I mean,
You're
this is such a fun, lovely talk, and just for people to understand, because what other opportunities do you have to listen and ask questions of people who are actually living these experiences? And Montavian, thank you so much for your storytelling. I mean, you are hilarious. And I promise you, I'll get consent before I send you their information, because I straight up don't want to live with nobody. I got right, for everybody trying to live with Joy, the answer is no. Somebody for you.
Let me say real quick, because a few people said this was interesting, great conversation. Listen, guys, if you enjoyed this, share this. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. Well, if you want to share it with your family, but share with your friends, whoever. If you're an share it with your nieces and nephews. Yeah, share it with them.
Subscribe.
And seriously, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can know when my upcoming lives are coming out. But seriously, like what you were saying, Chinzy and Phil, about my channel, I really do have these conversations to just get rid of the shame so that people can be comfortable talking about sexuality, talking about relationships. Because, in my job as a therapist, as a tantric therapist and sex coach, I get so many people who I'll ask, I'm doing the initial intake and I say, do you know, is there any family history of sexual abuse? And 9 out of 10 of the people say, I don't know. My parents never talked about it. And I can't even ask. Like if I ask, they'll get upset or they'll change the subject or something. So it's like, we need to get rid of these taboos, right? And that's the only way that we can have healthier relationships, safer relationships, and we can start to stop the abuse that's happening. A lot of this is happening because of all the secrecy. We empower people when we have these conversations. So that's what my channel is about. It's about empowering. It's about having these conversations, and not just having these conversations, but having fun with these conversations. That's important.
Yes.
Nobody wants to come and just listen to somebody lecture, use a condom, have safe sex. Like we want to enjoy learning about sexuality, learning about relationships, and we should be able to laugh with it. We should be able to have fun with it. It's natural, So Montavian, are you into kink? Because we're gonna do another one with kink.
One person's kink is another person's Tuesday.
Right. True. True enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, so you talk to a woman and you say, "Oh, girl, I'm nasty. I'm who we. I break your back in 3 places. I'm gonna do all this and do all that." And she come in there and she wearing the whole leather get up with the ball gag in her mouth and squirting oil on herself and whatnot. You're like, wait a minute, wait.
Yes, mommy. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, right there.
I thought we was just gonna watch porn together, or we just start with some heavy petting or something.
I'm ready.
Oh man.
So it depends on what the level is, but yeah, I think I am, but to the next person, I may be vanilla as vanilla gets. I mean, birthday cake
Have you ever
vanilla.
done the BDSM quiz?
Huh? Oh yeah, the
We've talked about it.
Done the BDSM quiz?
Yeah, see, I haven't done the BDSM quiz, though. That's the problem. Now, I will tie. I don't necessarily want to be tied. I got an issue with being tied and taking my freedom. I go back to the boat, but I will do the tying and get into all of that. What's wrong with you?
Okay,
now,
so I put the BDSM quiz on here. Mr. Moreau.
Yeah, take that.
Take that quiz.
Yeah.
we gotta find out what his results are next time.
Yeah,
please. We gotta do this so we can find out what his results are.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny.
Everybody who's watching, take this quiz, and when we talk about the kink and BDSM, you'll know what you are, and then you can kind of share and let us know as well.
Yeah,
you haven't taken it, Phil?
No.
Oh, it's been over a year now.
How do I do that? I gotta. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah,
please do it, Montavian. We all are interested. We're invested in your results now.
Okay, I want to take a poll. What do you guys think he is? Let's take a poll.
I think he's a switch.
I think he's a switch too.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see a switch.
We're not going to tell you. Take it.
He could be dom or sub. Sub.
I think he's a rigger.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
he is. He
Exhibitionist.
may be. I think he's a brat tamer.
Yeah,
I think.
But I could also see him as a brat. He could be a brat and a brat tamer. Now I'm a brat and a brat tamer. I am a switch as well.
Okay, that's true.
And sub, but I'm more dom.
I think he's probably primal more than prey.
Mm-hmm, yes.
I don't think he's a degrader. He may be a degradee.
I don't know that much to say. So I don't know.
Cause if you do the wrong thing, I'm gonna be ready to fight. Like, no, this session is over. Give me the key. I want the key. Untie me. Get out. Let me go.
You may be vanilla. Maybe vanilla.
Ain't nothing wrong with vanilla.
And there's nothing wrong with vanilla. Vanilla is beautiful. We need to see. We're invested. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm taking it. Don't worry. I'm gonna do it.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
This is. So you know what? I'm gonna message you guys to see when we could do which Wednesday will work, so we could all get up and do this kink and BDSM.
Yes. I got too excited over that. Yes, that'll be great.
So my March is still fairly open. I got to start scheduling. So my Wednesdays in March is pretty open, but we'll let's email, let's plan this. I think it's going to be really fun. If you guys want to do next week, I'm down too. But if you're not available next week, we could do 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll just try not to work into the wee hours of the evening again. and get in here on time. Because I missed the beginning of this because I know it was some great stuff.
You came in right on time.
You came right, yeah. But we'll
We'll
plan it better. That way, everything is confirmed, and we'll get us all on here. So I think it'll be nice. We got to have James too, Mr. J, because Mr. J is into the kink and BDSM. So we could do the first Wednesday of April, unless you guys want to do sooner.
I'm okay with any Wednesday outside of the 31st of March.
Maybe we should probably talk online because Renee, your lives keep going.
I know. We'll talk offline. We'll talk offline and plan it.
But this has been great. Thank you both for the education. Like Phil said, we're us virgins in here. We're learning.
Yes, we're great. I'm open to questions. Whatever
I'm not a poly virgin, but I'm still learning because
honestly, I'm not
we
really all are.
Yeah, we all are.
And that's the thing, and that's life, right? Life is a process. We're constantly learning.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day.
Yes. So this was beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
So
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Yes. Does anybody want to share anything? Does anybody have anything going on that you want to share, that you want people to come to, or Instagram page if you want more people to come on, find you?
Yeah, anything? Phil, that concert you're having Friday or Saturday?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
We'll be playing on Friday, and since we're locked down here in Sao Paulo, it'll be live. So you can go on Phil Ray Music on Instagram, and that's where you'll find my music stuff.
Okay.
And I'll try to post a link through there. So it's Phil Ray Ray Music. And then I got my YouTube channel, Phil in Brazil, and we talk about all things Brazil. Renee's on there every once in a while. We love her ass on there. We have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yes. My ass loves being on your show too.
It's all about ass.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so be sure to follow Phil in Brazil.
We'll do.
Everybody. And then Instagram, Phil and Ray. What is it?
Phil
Music
Ray Music.
Phil Ray Music. Yeah, so follow him on Instagram as well. Thank you. Follow Cinzia on Instagram. Cinzia Bella 2018.
Cinzia Bella.
I was gonna say, outside of sex and living my best life, I just did a live with Bourgeois Latte. So we're both coffee and music fanatics, and she's dropping a new website this month. So if you love coffee and music, check her out. Phil, you should go check it out. She's always looking for independent artists. Bourgeois Latte.
Send that to me.
I'll send it to you.
And follow Mr. Moreau, for some laughs, for some fun.
Yes, Comedy Central
on Instagram.
Hilarious.
So hilarious. That's why I was like,
so my Instagram page is not very fun. My Instagram page, you see pictures of my grandchildren in my life. Yeah, so it's not that
great.
But mine goes 0 to 100 in 0.7 seconds. One moment I'm telling you, get out here and go get it. You can do it. You can be the best you. You can be the next minute. I'm saying all this is bald head hoe shit.
I cannot.
You just kind of get what you get.
Yes. Oh my God. But Joy, don't you work with massage or something?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Don't you work with massage or something?
So what I do is I am a registered nurse, but I'm a holistic practitioner. So I do all kinds of things. I'm Reiki certified. I do a whole list of things, just into all spirituality and holism. But you can follow me at Urban Organic Chick on Instagram, or at Just the Grandma Yogi on Instagram. So I'm a yoga instructor. I teach my grandkids yoga. We have a whole thing. So when people go into my sites, they're like, "Oh, is it going to be about poly?" I'm like, "No, it's going to be about inspiration and living in life."
I love it.
That's beautiful. Yes. You have to share that. Can you say it again and somebody type that for her, please? What is it? Or I can type urban.
It's Urban Organic Chick. Urban Organic _ Chick. Mm-hmm.
Organic _ chick.
Yes. And that's CHIC or at Just a Grandma Yogi. Yep, that's it.
This is all on Instagram, yeah?
Yeah, that's on Instagram.
Can you put it in the private chat so then we could all look after?
Well,
I'm thinking
Renee posted it.
She's on her cell phone.
I just got it.
Grandma with the D, grand or without the D? No, that's
without the D, just Grandma Yogi.
Grandma Yogi.
Yes, yes.
I am now following everybody.
Yay! And guys, be sure to follow me too at Prandhara Prem _Tantra. I have my Yoni massage course coming up again, second week of March. Ooh, we're in March already. So I'm going to do my Yoni massage course again. So join me in that. April 11th, I believe, I am going to be starting Erotic Adventures in Self-Pleasure. So this is going to be for men and women, where you will be diving deep into masturbation techniques, self-pleasuring techniques, learning to take your self-pleasure to a whole nother level. So that's going to be in April. So join me with that. All that information is on my website at www.prandharaprem.com. Also, I have Patreon, Prandhara Prem, on Patreon, where I have tips on Sundays, self-exploration Sundays, Monday meditations, and Tantric Tuesdays, as well as some other juicy bits. Join me in Clubhouse if you're in Clubhouse at Prandhara Tantra. And hey, my OnlyFans is dying down, but if you join me on OnlyFans, maybe I'll pick it back up. I've been so busy to take pictures, but yeah, I do have an OnlyFans, so I put that out there.
I got my BDSM results, by the way. I was doing the test.
Oh, you did it quick.
Yes.
I'm 100% exhibitionist, 99% voyeur, 91% experimental, 84% non-monogamous.
Phil, I could have told you were exhibitionist when you sent me your picture of your ass today.
I know.
It was a nice ass too.
Very exhibitionist.
He didn't ask for consent. Well, no, he didn't ask for consent. He told me to ask. He said,
I know. I asked her to ask me, which is kind of the submissive in me coming out. Like, you gotta ask me to show me your.
He brought it up, but I like the way he switched it up on me and made me ask to see his ass. Instead of asking me if I want to see his ass.
I gotta learn that trick.
Psychology.
I like
psychology.
I gotta learn that one. That was nice.
That was nice. I was like, how did he turn the table and have me ask him to see his ass? He not only asked, he had me begging. I was like, can I see your beautiful ass? Because then he's like,
I did.
Holding it. He started holding it. And I was like, stop teasing me.
Because I kept describing it to her. I was like, I'm wearing like this jock strap and I'm kind of dressed like this and I'm in this position and I wouldn't send it to her.
Wait, Phil's got to give a class in how to get women to give a class for men to get women to beg for those solicited dick pics instead of unsolicited.
I love it.
I can help with that. Yes.
That could be a class.
Without me asking, and I'm like, I don't want this. Block. But Phil switched the script, and he made me ask for it.
You guys are too much.
That's Renee. I have to let you know that after the Tantra Yoni massage class, my girlfriend said she gave me a new name, and I just cannot believe it. She was like, "You are absolutely the pussy whisperer."
Yeah.
To let her know. And in the middle of it, she was like, "Oh my God, you're just the pussy whisperer." I was like, "Wait, what?"
I like that. The new name for my course, the pussy whisperer course.
Pussy
There
whisperer.
you go.
Who can become a pussy whisperer?
I guess I am the pussy whisperer now. I thought I had skills, but apparently now I have better skills.
Now you know.
Now you know. Thank you, Prandhara, for giving me
Exactly.
the
Be my new Instagram page. Nobody takes it at the pussy whisperer.
Oh God. All right. Well, this is the longest live I have ever done. It's an hour and a half. So it was so much fun. So much fun.
Indeed,
so thank you guys. And I'll be messaging you so we could do our next one on the kink and BDSM. I can't wait. That's gonna be fun. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, everyone.